made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Transact Card, Align Life, Neuro Infinity, Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 519 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Eric Crane. If you want to hear a story about what to do in a chiropractic crisis, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we got Eric Crane for the third time.
Right.
Back in the saddle again. Mustang, it's Oklahoma, right?
That's right. Mustang Chiropractic, Mustang, Oklahoma.
And before we jump into this episode and get on page talking about the third interview with you, I just want to let people know the big why. Why do we do what we do? First Amendment is very important to us, freedom of speech. We've never censored anyone. So I think that that's really important on these types of platforms, is to support people with freedom of speech. Then we do support family health freedom and medical freedom. We believe people should have the choice of what they do for them and their family's health and their future. And then we also protect BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that means, go to your favorite search engine and look for BJ Palmer's Last Words or BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. You're going to learn so much more about chiropractic than you previously did. We also support subluxation-based chiropractors. The lexicon and the philosophy of chiropractic is highly valuable to the people at large. They just don't know that chiropractic is the answer for them. And then lastly, we believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. And we believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that being said, Dr. Eric Crane, welcome.
Oh, just making a little note here of some stuff we're going to talk about. We were chatting earlier about what we're going to talk about today, and I think we came up with a pretty good plan. But I was talking to you about, some of the things I've been going through and stuff like that. And you said I seemed a little more calm than my last two. And I told you it's because I went through the 5 stages that are, the 5 stages of grief, basically. And I'm at acceptance finally. So I finally just kind of decided what's going to be is going to be. Let's just make the most of it. Let's not worry about what people say. Let's worry about what we do. And I could tell people that might be going through hard times right now, whether that's in their practice or financially or with their family at home. You're not going to fix any problem by stuffing it in the closet. When I, for instance, sell a foam roller to someone, which I don't really do a lot of anymore, I just tell them to buy it on Amazon. I tell them, put this where you'll see it every night where you sit down. Like, do you sit in front of your TV like most people do? You're in your bed. Put that thing right there in your field of vision so you'll get up and use it for a couple minutes a night to help maintain your adjustments between your visits to see me. And most of them really get it, like when we put things out of sight, they are out of mind. So I've been bringing everything that's important to me and my practice and the girls that work for me and my pet and all this stuff. I bring it all out in front of me. I put everything on countertops. I don't put things in drawers. I want to see where things are at, because I don't want to compartmentalize the important things in life. And I think all too often we get in the habit of doing that,
Well, one of the things I say to people is look in obvious places. And so many times people want to overthink things, or they want too much information that they don't actually go through and utilize the thing that they're looking for in the first place. And then they get stuck down some rabbit trail where they lose focus.
Very easy to do, especially with all the information in the world at your fingertips. And we're stuck in the internet ghettos of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, when I can remember a time when the internet was a lot more expansive and there was a lot more sources of information. And the totalitarians and the fascists out there would say, well, a lot of that was misinformation. No, it wasn't. And who decides what's misinformation? The AMA decided that chiropractic was misinformation a long time ago, and that was a long and costly battle that we as chiropractors fought, and we take it for granted, frankly. And show me a successful chiropractor, and there's probably 25 to 100 in his wake that failed, and it's because they weren't prepared from the get-go to accept the ups and the downs of practice and running your own business. They were just hitting the books and learning a bunch of information, vomiting it back out on a test, and then smack, okay, you're a chiropractor, now you're in the real world, go be somebody. And they slam the door behind you, and they're turning around going back to all these students that are, 8 out of 10 trimesters into going through a very expensive program. So, basically I'm agreeing with you in a long-winded way that you've got to have some moxie, you've got to have it in your gut, you got to be a fighter, and you got to get up with a purpose every day to go help people. Because I tell people probably too often, this is not an easy job. Chiropractic isn't just, I'm just going to go mess around at work today. I work a couple 3-hour shifts a day, and I'm seeing about 40 to 50 people on average, sometimes up to 70, sometimes as low as 20 or 30, but pretty much about 40 or 50 people every time I go to work. So, you can do the math on that. That's seeing about 150, 200 a week. And, you're sore, you're tired, you're out of it. You've had a couple problem patients, people telling you what to do one day. One day that people can't get enough of you telling them what to do. So you get wore out and kind of sick of your own voice for a while. So it's nice when we can talk to people like you and other people in the chiropractic community that, you don't have to live on an island. There are a lot of people out there that are doing the same thing as you and have the same challenges as you, and you should talk to them. I personally, I'm kind of notorious for not getting along with some other chiropractors, but that's really their issue and not mine, because I'm one of the friendliest people in the world. You want to come up and be my friend, I'll be your friend. But if you're going to run me into the ground, I'm probably never going to be your friend. I'm not even going to talk to you or address you. That's just how I am. So I think our whole profession could use a kumbaya moment, but I don't think it will ever happen. I've talked to the guys that run big practice management groups. One group's mad at another group in Oklahoma. One state group hates the other state group, and there's bad blood in there that goes back decades before I ever started. And I went to one of the guys, I won't say who it is, but a lot of people know who it is. I went to him and I said, why don't we just get together with this other group and make one big power group so we can have a big lobby so we can do something and get something done instead of infighting. And he's like, oh, no, we never do that. And this guy's message is all kumbaya, all of everybody, all everything. So some people will talk a really good game about be true to your principles and all this stuff. And then as soon as the door's closed, right, it's, oh, F that guy, I don't like that person, or we could never work with that guy, he's this and that and the other. So there's a real mixed messaging going on in that aspect of our world for sure.
So you're talking earlier about you've been going through stuff as professional, and I know that one of the things we wanted to really key in on today was what to do if you do get faced with a crisis in your practice. Like, what have you done to, I guess, reestablish your positioning and to fight?
Well, that is the advice, is to fight. Not fight like be nasty and curse and scream and go after people and whatever, but you have to fight. Everybody in the world will tell you, just leave it alone. Leave it alone, it'll go away. Just lay low for 2 weeks. And that was some of the advice I got. Just disappear for a while. Go somewhere and get out, get away. Yeah, that might work for a weekend. But when you come back, that problem is still going to be there for you. And, all problems are different, of course. But let's just say, for instance, somebody leaves you a bad review. And it's not just a bad review. It's something that's obviously not true, fraudulent, maybe nasty, accusing you of doing something you didn't do. That's definitely the time that I would say don't leave it alone. I mean, when I went viral in 2019 and got 250 Google reviews in 2 weeks, and they weren't good. They were just people dogpiling from all over the country that had never seen me, but I got exposed on the news and everything. And it was just like a bonfire, It's like one thing goes up and another thing catches, and now you got this huge fire going on. So this exec from that worked with Coca-Cola contacted me, and he was saying, just leave it alone, don't do anything, da, da, da. It was the worst possible advice because this just kept piling up. So I was sitting at home one night and I was looking at this one particular review where this guy said I did something very uncouth to his grandmother in my office that was just, it was beyond ridiculous. So I just looked him up on Facebook. He had the same picture on Facebook that he had on Google. So I looked up the place on his Facebook page, had where he worked too. So naturally, I just left his work a 1-star review. And I said, I don't care if this review stays here for the rest of my life, because you have an employee named Javier that thinks it's funny to write XYZ on a chiropractor in Oklahoma's page. So it's Hammurabi's law. It's an eye for an eye. And I'll delete mine when he deletes his. 10 to 15 minutes later, his review was gone. And that was like, bing, light bulb. I was like, oh my God. So I started doing that more and more. And I found several of them I could fix like that. Most of them I couldn't. But there was a pattern. There was a pattern. I would call up some of these workplaces and go, hey, is such and such employed there? Oh, buddy, I wish I could help you. But, I fired that bee a long time ago or whatever it was. And the one guy in particular stands out to me because he said, she's probably sitting at home unemployed in her basement right now, taking it out on other people. So I'm sorry I can't help you, but if I could, I would. I think you just did help me, right? And then I started seeing projection everywhere. You see it everywhere after a while. When somebody's being mean to someone else or miserable or unhappy or hateful or cursing at them, whatever it is, the problem is with them. And they are outwardly reflecting their own feelings of inadequacy or, whatever onto you or your business or your family, or they're spreading rumors about you. You do have to stand up for your core principles. You do have to do what's right, because like Jim said in the beginning, we believe in freedom of choice with this stuff, for health information, for where do you go to get help when something's wrong and you don't want to go to your local urgent care and get a handful of pills. You need local chiropractors, physical therapists, natural health people. I don't care if it's massage therapists, rolfers, energy workers. If you're getting something out of it, it's working. Like, I'm not having the discussion anymore about, oh, that's quackery or witchcraft or whatever. The strongest drug one can take is a placebo that works, that's not doing anything negative to the person. And a lot of that starts right here between the ears with most people. And that's kind of the conclusion I've come to in the last year or so. Moreover than, oh, my back hurts, oh, this, oh, that. Like this one lady the other day was going into, she's just bound up tight like this. And I just told her, I'm like, why are you so rigid? And she's like, I don't know this, I don't know. She's Hispanic, so I'm kind of mimicking her. But then she said something about her mother. And I said, what's your mother got to do with this? And she goes, I don't know. She just never liked me. She didn't do this. I said, you know what? I think your back pain is partially coming from these negative emotions you have towards your mother. And she started just bawling, dude. Bawling. I'm like, shit, I shouldn't have said that. But I did mean it, and I did say it. And I sat there, and I held her hand until she quit crying. And I said, I didn't mean to upset you with that. And she goes, no, you're right. I don't know why I'm carrying this. And I said, the hardest thing to deal with is when a family member is toxic and you have to remove them from your life for your own benefit and happiness. But it sounds like maybe you should give that a trial separation to your mother till your body quits retaliating against you, because all that energy that you're taking in of your bad feelings about yourself is bouncing around inside of you. It has nowhere to go. It's the paperclip analogy with chiropractic. The energy goes in a circle, and if that paper clip's out, there goes the energy. Now you're hurt. Now you're subluxated.
Safety pin cycle.
You're safe. Excuse me. Safety paperclip, safety pin. Thank you.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Transact Card, Align Life, Neuro Infinity, Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. Let's hustle.
And at that moment, like I said, I felt a little bit ashamed that I made her cry. But then after that, she's hugging me and thanking me on the way out and making a month's worth of appointments.
Well, the thing is, Dr. Eric, is people don't really understand that chiropractic helps with thoughts, traumas, and toxins. Most of the time, people come into a chiropractic clinic because they've had some type of a trauma with the physical part of their, their body. And they don't realize that when they start getting adjusted and they start getting principal chiropractic care that moves a bone, takes pressure off of a nerve, their body starts to chill out. And not only chill out with the physical problems, but when they come in and meet a chiropractor like you that's bold enough to tell them the truth, then they start correcting the mental subluxation. And then when you start on two levels of physical and mental, and then you can come into their spiritual, now the person's starting to evolve and they start to adapt. And really, that's the thing you said before is as above, so below. And when you start giving somebody an adjustment to their upper cervical area, now they don't have radiculopathy in their arms and hands. And when you start adjusting somebody in their lumbar spine, now they don't have sciatica. But also what happens is it clears up their crummy state of mind where they're bogged down with more stress and more necessity to perform and they don't feel good. So what happens now is you turn the lights on and now the same thought processes get a chance to adapt. So now they're adapting to a new reality and they can't go back to the old person. The old person's gone. They don't go back to that person. They can just go forward. And that's why some of these people that come in and you have this impact on them, they become your number one referral sources. I tell people this all the time. Like I actually pre-frame them. I said, great. I'm glad you're going to come in and we're going to be able to help you out. And guess what? You're probably going to become one of our number one referral sources for the whole time that you're with us, because we're going to show you how good we are. And you're going to go tell all your friends and family that whatever you're telling me that's going on with you today is going to improve. And then you're just going to, you won't be able to stop telling people about us.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it, man. That's the pre-framing. That's perfect what you're telling them. You're also setting up an expectation that they are going to heal. You know, some people have had back and neck pain or whatever it may be for so long. I'll just live with it. I just live with it. You know, you hear that a lot from the chronic patients. I just live with it. I had a guy come in the other day. He goes, I met my deductible because I threw up my stomach lining. He was puking buckets of blood. I go, what? He goes, yeah, I lived on a leaf for 10 years.
Jeez.
He ruined his stomach lining with a leaf. And he was having radiculopathy in his forearm, and he was having a pec atrophy. So he had something going on with the nerve root in between 3 and 6, you know, somewhere in there, or both, right? I told him, I said, this can be a tough case because you might have something going on here at your shoulder. You might have something going on here at the clavicle, and you might have something going on in your neck. So I x-ray him. He's got disc disease at every level, right? I adjust him. I work on him last Thursday, and I had him set up for MRIs and all this stuff. He came in yesterday and goes, my numbness and tingling just barely started coming back this morning. So he lived Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all pain-free, all radiculopathy-free for one adjustment. The bad thing about that is then they kind of expect that every time. So I always tell patients like him, I'm like, look, I can get you from an 8 to a 2 pretty readily. It takes me a lot longer to get you from a 2 to a 0 or a 1 to a 0 because it just does. That's just the way it goes, you know?
You know,
go ahead.
I worked in a clinic and I would always kind of joke around with people. I'm like, all right, you're 40 years old. You come in here and you're put together with duct tape and baling wire and paper clips. And I look at your film, I see what you look like. And we do a great job of restoring people's cervical curve and lumbar curve and taking kyphosis out of the curves, or, you know, adding a proper curve to the spine. But I was like, you waited till you're 40 years old to come in and see if we could help you out. And now what we can do is best is rehab what you've come in with, which is we call limitations of matter. Like we'll do our best to get you to a way back to what's best to normal for you. But we should have started you at care when you were a baby.
Yeah. And then I kind of follow along with Joe Borio's way of thinking about when that patient's asking you questions, you don't just answer them. you ask them a question that's going to lead them to the answer you want them to say. That's real doctoring, like, how long do I got to be seen, doc? Well, how long do you think you need to be seen? You've been there, you're 40 years old. You said your neck's been hurting for 3.5 years since you fell off the four-wheeler or bucked off the horse, whatever it may be. How long do you think, James? How long is it going to take you to get well? Long time. Yeah, probably will. That does do more pre-framing and set up their expectations for care, and you're not being dishonest with them. I'm not saying I'll see you 3 times a week for 8 weeks, then we get a divorce, and I'll never see you again. That's why I don't go along with that practice management strategy. Sure, you're going to have some people go out there and pay you in full, but you're sacrificing your integrity. Not every person needs 3 months of care 3 times a week for 8 weeks. They just don't. Like, I'm more confident in my skills than that. I'm not God. I'm not the best chiropractor in the world by any means. But if I've seen you 4 to 6 times and I haven't gotten your pain 80% gone, I feel inadequate. I feel bad. I feel like I'm ripping you off. So that's just where I'm different. And a lot of people say, I really like that about you. That's refreshing. And I said, well, just don't treat me like you treat your dentist and see him once every 3 years. You know what I mean? And that usually gets a pretty good laugh. But yeah, you talk about restoring the curves. It makes a good segue. So I want to share this with some other people. I make nothing from this. They could give me a free pillow. I'd be fine with that. But this is what I use for restoring cervical curve. It does it on x-ray. You just got to get the patient to use it. I have these on all my IST tables. This is an adjustable pillow that can help take your neck from military neck to more normal looking. And it's pretty simple. It's got a little mechanism in it that the arch goes up. So this is a release lever, some thumb buttons. You can raise that up. It's got about 12 or 13 notches in it. I counted them one day and I started to click, click, click. So every month they can click that up and you can take multiple degrees off a curve in just 6 months if you just religiously use it. It's kind of like the foam roller example we talked about. If you don't use it and throw it in the closet, you're not going to get any relief. You're not going to get some cavitation in your back. You're not going to extend the life of your adjustments, right? So these little things that other chiropractors might say, I don't deal with products, so nobody's going to buy anything. Yes, they will. They need it. And they sell those online for almost $100. You can be a hero and sell it to your patient for $50, $60, and they think that you're just the best thing ever because you saved them something they were going to buy on anyways, Go ahead.
So the name of the product that Dr. Crane just showed is called the Cervipedic Pillow.
Yep. There it is.
Cervipedic Pillow.
Cervipedic.com. You can go check them out. I know the people pretty well. I've talked to them several times at different events, and they've always been good. Get me a case of pillows as soon as they can get them to me. Sometimes we've been manufacturing issues because they've sold out of them, but they're the only pillow that I've seen that actually can do some physical changes to people. So I keep a few of them around. And they get to try them out when they're on the IST tables. A lot of times people go, I love that pillow. Can I get one? Yeah, sure. There you go. You got to have something. I also carry things like multivitamins. I use Mother Earth Labs for multivitamins. I don't know if you can see this, but my eyesight's gone to crap lately. But look at all these vitamins in here. These are all organic, all natural stuff, loaded multivitamin. I sell less of those. I've been carrying Stop Pain for a few months. I've been selling the crap out of this stuff. People love it. It does work quite well. It's like BioFreeze. But what I really like to sell is a simple, cheap little calm for sleep. So many people can't sleep. So many people have muscle pain. So many people have anxiety. Magnesium is the cure for all of that. It takes a while. But this will help get your problem patients to sleep. I sell that for $20. I think I buy it for $8 or $10. It's not a crazy markup, and it's cheaper than Walmart to buy it from me. So I recommend somebody get hooked up with Calm. I also found Mother Earth Labs magnesium extended release. This has 7 kinds of magnesium in it. You can kind of see them there. Yeah. But so if one thing doesn't work on somebody, like this has glycinate, malate, that is magnesium, oroate, taurate, ionic magnesium, magnesium citrate. So you think maybe this thing will make you go to the bathroom for about 3 weeks straight, but it doesn't. fulvic acid, a little bit of zinc, all right? All that stuff that you need for healthy skin, bones, teeth, all that stuff is all in there. And then finally, I sell these calm gummies too for people that don't like to take pills. Kids can eat these. Kids need magnesium. It helps them go to sleep, helps calm them down, get them off the ADHD drugs. Because magnesium is probably the most important advice I give to my patients, just blanket advice.
Well, here we go. We're helping people with physical, chemical, and emotional stresses. And a lot of times people are dealing with I was just on my last interview and I said, most of the time when people become diabetic, it's through their eyes, or they become obese, it's through their eyes because they see it first. And that's how they start to build the conditioning that's comfortable to them. And then they eat too much of it. And it's not a good source of protein. It's not a good source of, healthy diet stuff. And people are eating stuff first through their eyes. So if we can teach them to supplement healthy stuff to help it if they're not sleeping, because really, this, Doc, the only time that people are getting actual cellular repair is when they're sleeping. So if people aren't sleeping, their bodies aren't recovering. And really, I think chiropractic, I always tell people this, it's one of the original biohacks. It was breathing, feet on the ground, sunshine, then chiropractic. So when we think about like the evolution of biohacking, adjusting the spine and taking pressure off the nervous system helps restore functionality. And I think when you talk about today, people come in with more, troubles with sleeping, more troubles with diets. Like you said, your patient was throwing up his stomach because he was supplementing himself with drugs. And we interviewed Les Brown. I probably told you about this, but my favorite part was he said, I love chiropractic because it doesn't cut it out, drug it out, or burn it out. And,
that's pretty good.
And I think that when you think about giving supplements to somebody, their body just craves something that's going to help them adapt to a better homeostasis.
And they don't even know it. And their doctor's not going to tell them, I thought you were going a different direction when you first started talking about the, getting a diabetic through your eyes. I was thinking it's like the seafood diet, right? I see food, I eat it.
It's true. It's true.
They see a donut commercial and the next thing you know, they're pulling into Dunkin' Donuts,
But it's like if we give them healthy choices now and we reintroduce them to good solutions, that's when we start to see people's lives change. Mm-hmm. And that's when we start to see the impact of chiropractic services become, as you were talking about earlier, we'll get better reviews. When people think about like the review currency or the review marketplace, like if you see somebody that has multiple 5-star reviews, you're going to go shop there.
Yeah.
And if people have like a tendency to base their decision making, whether they're buying a car or they're working with a marketing company, or they're going to a chiropractor. There is a review style culture out there that, people believe in the entourage effect. They believe in third party validation. And when people have, positive things to say, that's why it's important to settle the score and to actually do what you did is go out there and reestablish credibility.
You got to ask for reviews too from those people. And, to build on what you said, have you ever just read a review and went somewhere, or 9 times out of 10 was it, one of your friends was, hey, I ate at this really great restaurant, you should go. It's always that. You're more likely to get spurred into action from a referral from someone you know and trust rather than just some BS you read. Because everybody knows you could fake reviews if you really wanted to get in there and do it, I had people tell me they thought my reviews were fake a couple years ago. I'm like, no, there's a bunch of bad ones in there. I wouldn't fake a bunch of bad reviews from strangers I don't know. So unfortunately, they're all real. But yeah, I mean, you get 0% of the things that you don't ask for, So whether that be asking your friends and family if there's anybody that they know that you could help, or asking your current patients for reviews and referrals, asking your employees to make sure they tell their friends and family about it. I mean, sometimes we overlook the most obvious things. We see it every day. It's like that thing in the corner of the room you never use. Eventually you forgot where you got it or why you have it, but it's always been there. So it's just something to think about for other people that might be kind of struggling right now or looking for different ways to get people in the door. Cause man, sometimes you gotta just go pound the pavement and go start knocking on doors, and nobody wants to do that anymore. You know, we're above all that. There's too much pride in the world, and the ego and the pride and everything that Facebook and all these things are feeding. Hell, those companies are getting rid of people too. Amazon just laid off a bunch of people, like 1,200 people here in Oklahoma City area just the other day. So I think there's a looming kind of darkness on the economic horizon coming that everybody needs to get prepared for and realize, like, the more you preach your message and don't worry about all that stuff, you will get more people coming through the door. It's pretty cyclical, but I think some people are going to be really in for it, because we went through it with COVID, and I saw in my patient population all the anxiety issues, the people having shallow breathing problems, things like that. And, you know, you just feel it. You feel them all bound up like that, you know, and you want to help them, but the only way you can help them is just walk them out of the forest, you know, literally. You got to take their hand and walk them out, because they're not going to do it on their own, or they would have already done it.
Well, Dr. Eric, we're at the end of our time together today. Is there anything I didn't touch on that you wanted to share with our audience today?
Nope. I think we covered the gamut of stuff while being economical with it and not overkilling some points or anything like that. And I hope I brought some value to anybody that wants to watch this, as far as maybe a few ideas of something you can do in your clinic to make some money. That's not going to take a lot of time and energy, but will be something that's repeatable and profitable for you on a regular basis.
Well, if we don't tell them to come buy it from us, they'll buy it from somewhere else. And if we don't tell them the truth about chiropractic, someone else will mislead them with drugs or surgery. So we just got to keep on saving lives with chiropractic, and the game is one spine at a time, but sometimes it's one mind at a time. You can't get to the spine until you get to the 6 inches up here. So we got to just be consistent and determined to keep on spreading the truth about chiropractic. And with that being said, if people wanted to reach out to you or learn more about you, where should we send them to?
Just Google it. Just Google Mustang Chiropractic. I took my website down because I didn't want to pay $300 a month for it anymore. I'm just going to build a little simple one. But they can find me on Google. They can find us on Facebook too, facebook.com/Mustang Chiro. If they want to get on there and see some memes and some stuff that I've posted lately. And feel free to take whatever you want. I use Keith Wassung stuff, so just know if you steal my pictures off there, my address is on it, so be careful.
Well, Dr. Eric, I look forward to connecting with you as we build our futures together. And I thank you for being episode 519 of the Chiro Hustle podcast.
Hey, man, very happy to do so. You're doing a great job, Jim, and thanks for everything you do for chiropractic.
I appreciate it, man. And I'm going to close out by telling everyone, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks a lot.
Hustling, y'all.
All right. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.